Welcome to Truly Heal and our free ozone training. Today we talk about rectal or vaginal insufflations. And the concept is actually very simple. We absorb through the mucous membrane instantly the ozonides into the body. Oxygen is absorbed into the body, and in the vagina, in case of bacterial overgrowth, candida, fungi, you kill all the bacteria, you kill mold, you kill candida. And that is like a healing process by killing the problem and repairing the mucosa, the mucous membrane. In the same way, if you do it rectal, you do your colon and your rectal insufflation and absorb through that the same amount of ozonides into the system, oxygen into the system, and you kill off and stimulate your immune system and kill off bacteria. So as a general treatment to systemically build up your immune system, this is ideal. Especially, it doesn't involve any needles. It doesn't, especially elderly and children, it doesn't involve you to travel back and forth to your doctor, and you can do it, like I said, 7 days a week, which is really beautiful. Okay, now there's different concepts about rectal or vaginal insufflation in regards to volume. And the standard, which probably most of the doctors do, is about 2 to 250, 300 of milliliters of ozone. And you can see that here behind me. There is a 200 milliliter pocket, so you can hold your finger and fill the first compartment. When that's fully blown up, then you open up the valve, close it, and stop your ozone generator, and that's it. You can fill a little bit more, and some doctors fill into your colon up to 3 liters. So you don't really need to worry about the amount if it's a little bit less or a little bit more, because some of the studies are made with 60 milliliters of ozone. Now, for those of you who have read my article on with Dr. Lamberto Rey about the NRF2 production, which is a protein key, a switch that turns on your self-healing mechanism. Now you trigger that with 60 milliliters and you trigger that with 3 liters. So what is the difference? The more ozone you use in strong or weak concentrations, the more you use, the more you kill off bacteria. So if you fill in your whole colon with 3 liters of ozone, and I've tried now many times, filled up the bag completely with 750 milliliters, really full, and pump that slowly in. You can't just roll it up. You need to do it step by step, slowly. As you release it into the colon, it doesn't really make a big difference. If 60 or 200 or 700 doesn't feel very different. So it's actually possible. And when you do that, and I had one of those 3 liter treatments, that feels like you're lifting off. It would be helium, you would be flying off. So the concept is very simple. The more ozone gets in touch or in contact with bacteria, the more you die off. So high volume would be used to inflate the whole colon, only to really kill off in one big hit your bacteria load. Now in small quantities, it's more like a vaccine. So it kills off a few, but it gives so much energy to your immune system that they start working and recognize who to go after, and then do it like a self-healing mechanism. And that is then also supported by the oxygen, supported by the NRF2 development. So there's many things that go into gear. And it really doesn't matter this way or that way, both yields the same results. And that's what we found. There are several studies with low concentration, low volume, high concentration, high volume. And for some patients, that method is better than that, but you can try that out for yourself. I actually tried mega amounts just to see what it does, how I feel. And it's actually creating some kind of a euphoric feeling when you have high oxygen content. Maybe it's just, I managed, I get all this in. So it's that feeling of happiness that comes through that. Whichever way, ozone isn't a fast treatment. You can't expect to do 2 rectal insufflations and then, oh, my disease is gone. Don't think that way. Really just think this is an immune booster. This is a catalyst. It activates my self-healing. It activates cell rejuvenation. It helps the DNA production. You know, there's so many factors associated to ozone. And again, go back to that article and look what ozone actually does. It's fascinating. It actually should get the Nobel Prize, these discoveries, but you know, it's not even allowed for human testing, so we're still far away. But it works. So filling that ozone bag is number one. And I would like to show you how. You connect your ozone flow regulator to your bottle. Turn it so that it's connected. This is a medical, but you can also use the industrial connector and it works like a charm. And the industrial bottle. Many of the clinics that we visited had industrial tanks, so don't worry if you get that. Now, the setup is you go from the flow regulator into your ozone generator. Now here you start, and this is something that I really would like to encourage you. A lot of clinics start with 42 concentration, and they say, that's fine, we never had any problems. Another doctor says, well, we start very low because we have people who have excess build up from bacteria, and so when we flood the colon with too much or too strong, then they blow up like a balloon, they get bloating, and that's something we want to avoid, otherwise they won't come back. So start out with a low concentration. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't harm. You know, you just start out slow and build up slowly. And that's why the Cuba protocol, which we have on our page below, is really helpful. So you start out with 3/4 of a liter. So really high volume. Now when you connect the bag to the ozone generator and you just screw this on, this little lure lock device, let me untangle here the cable. So, and now move this out of the way. Can you see it? So now we turn on the ozone generator. Now as soon as oxygen comes, it will be transformed, and now we turn on the bottle. Now you can see if I hold this 200 milliliter closed, it fills up quite fast. Now the reason for this is, let me close this again and open up here and turn off ozone. Now you can see this was filling very fast. Just for explanation, oxygen goes through a spark chamber in here, and the slower it goes through, the more ozone is created. The faster it goes through, the lesser ozone is created. So if you have a very high flow rate of 3/4, then you build 16 milligrams of ozone per liter, which is very mild, very low. And if you start with that, there is no risk, no problem. And then you do that for a week, and then you move up to 23, which is 1/2. You just turn here to 1/2, and then the air will fill slower into your bag. You just start out with 200 milliliters, don't overdo it, and you fill with the 23. Safe, children, no problem. A lot of doctors did this treatment. They fill up the syringe in the same way. Look, we just do that. There's still probably enough pressure. No, it's not. You can see, I turn this, can you see it? It fills the syringe. As soon as it's full, you close and you open up, and now you have your syringe full, in my case with oxygen because I didn't turn it on, but you fill it with ozone. Now you take your little catheter, screw that on, and now you can lubricate that with a little bit of ozone oil and use that for children, and very gently fill the ozone into their rectum. And the further you insert that catheter, the more comfortable it actually is. Think about a big fart that you have to hold in. Now, if it's right at the end, it's tough to hold. So if you insert it deeper, then nobody feels it. It really dissipates in that huge and flexible colon without a problem. So I would definitely insert it more. I can fill now 750 milliliters complete in, and I don't even feel it, and can hold it for half an hour if I use almost half of that stick of that catheter. So just do as you feel, try it out, play with it, but this is how they do it with children to regrow the villi in the colon. If they have celiac disease, if they have high inflammation, autistic children, beautiful results at Dr. Lamberto Re in Italy, a lot of handicapped children come in on a regular basis. All they get is a rectal insufflation with ozone every second day, and their improvements are phenomenal. So something you can talk about with your doctor, decide whether you want to do it, but it is a very, very powerful systemic treatment that builds you up more and more. Now, if we turn this here to 1/4, which is probably the highest level that you want to go, 42 milligrams, and you turn it on, you will see that now if I open up the bottle and turn on here my ozone, fill it up, you can see it fills up a lot slower. So it's actually the flow speed which concentrates the ozone stronger or weaker. And you can see it takes a lot longer to fill it up. Now, one more thing before we conclude this one, turn it off. Now, one more thing which is very important. There are indications that are extremely safe and secure. And there is lots of evidence. A lot of doctors have confirmed, the studies have proven that it's absolutely working. They use it in very high concentration, in very small amounts, if people have ulcerative colitis, if they have very strong hemorrhoids, if they have high inflammatory, high bacteria-laden diseases. So they use it, for example, for rectal cancer, colon cancer. They use it the first 2 or 3 times in that high concentration. So let's just turn that out. Now you use, in that case, your syringe, and you set your setting that you come to 1/8. 1/8 is 71. They say 90, but I don't want to recommend anything that's so high to you. Therefore, it's red on the label. 3 is borderline just green. So you can go 71, 1/8. You can try the other one, but it's definitely your own risk or thought. So I set this one here to 1/8. And now if I put the syringe on, I close it so that you can see. And I just push it a bit around. You can see it fills very, very slowly. Slow flow, high concentration. So if you see that your syringe goes out very, very slow, well, then you have a high concentration. If it blows out fast, you have a very low concentration. Okay, that's it. In case the ozone generator is turned on, which in my case, I've turned it off now. Okay, so always take the syringe off and empty out the excess, if you want to, in your destruct unit. All right. That's pretty much it. So high concentration syringe 2 or 3 times if you have high bacteria load, if you have any infections in that area. And if for maintenance method, really start out with a low concentration, slowly build up and see how you feel. Like most doctors said, 2 weeks, 3 weeks minimum until you feel results. Now, if I describe you what's changed for me, we would be here for a long time. But I will make different videos. I have tests from before and after, so I show you those in the coming days about my leaky gut, which has completely transformed. Then my eyesight got better. You know, I use it now as a hair treatment, and I hope it slowly starts working, that the area up front here gets more dense. You can use it for so many different purposes. You can inject, which is not something I want to recommend you to do at home, but you can go to a doctor and have it injected directly into joints where you have problems, into sacral areas, into your back area where you have stiff neck, into your spine. So many things they do for tennis elbow, for arthrosis, arthritis. So you don't want to miss out having ozone available for those problems as well. But you need to see a doctor because I don't want you to handle around with needles, okay? Vaginal treatments, identically the same. Now there is a lot of people who say, how do I catch the overflowing ozone when I do a vaginal treatment? Don't worry. Ozone, when you've seen the oil bubbling video, ozone reacts within a fraction of a second with the mucous membrane. So if you do a rectal insufflation, you fill in 750 milliliters of ozone into the bag, then you connect your catheter. I would use a different one from the rectal, and then you lubricate that with ozone oil so that you have lots of ozonides already on. You insert that as far as you can, and then you roll up the back and blow that gently in. That's all it needs. You don't need to, hose out or flush out or completely eradicate everything. Like we said before, it is kind of a vaccination treatment, and to do it all, killing it all out, is something that doesn't work if your milieu doesn't support it. So it always grows back. And therefore, rather change slowly the milieu, heal the mucous membrane, bring your immune system into gear, reduce the bacterial load step by step. And as you do so, and your skin gets better, your mucous membrane heals up, you will see that everything else slowly transcends. And that's something you do for a long time. And that's why don't worry, you don't need a destruct unit, you don't need to catch anything. As soon as it gets in touch with any of the mucous membrane, it discharges, and that's it. So you have no more ozone, no more smells. Put a wet towel or a moist towel over your genitals so that every excess that comes out is caught in that humidity, and you will see there is no problem. Another thing, and that's the last one, I remember one after the other. The last thing, which is very important, always use ozone gas at your skin or extremities or internally when it's lubricated and wet. If you use ozone gas at a dry skin, it gets irritated. If you use it on a wet skin, which you've lubricated before, it's straight away absorbed and built into ozonite. So when you do a vaginal insufflation, then you can, prior to that, flush out with a bit of ozone water. Just same thing, syringe, and then you fill the syringe with ozone water, connect your catheter, and flush out with ozone water. Same thing, disinfects. We know that from kitchen utensils, everything. And then afterwards, connect your bag and blow in the ozone, and then it's already lubricated and wet, and there is no irritation, no itching, no drama, and you have straight away better success.